Hey everybody. This is an uncomfortable podcast for me to do. I hesitated even doing it, and for a while I wasn't even thinking of podcasting this week. I want to share with you a little bit of a story, and it's not to get sympathy, but I saw something for myself and something that I might want to share with the rest of you. A few weeks ago, I went to the dermatologist because I saw a couple locations on my face and my scalp that looked a little suspicious. And the dermatologist diagnosed me with actinic keratosis, which is the pre-cancerous form of skin cancer. So nothing to worry about. We caught it in time, and there is a treatment for it. I started the treatment December 1st. It involved putting an ointment on my face and my scalp twice a day, and the dermatologist's recommendation was for a minimum of 5 days, 7 if you can stand it. If you can stand it are not words that you really want to hear from a physician. But I went through the treatment. I did make it through the 7 days. I will tell you honestly, at just before the very last treatment, I was in severe discomfort, and I really didn't think I was going to make it through. But I did. I muscled through. I put on the last treatment a week ago, last Monday, and then started the healing process. And I am still in the healing process. And part of the reason I didn't want to show up on camera is because of how it looked. I'm actually in much better condition right now than I was 3 or 4 days ago, but you can still see there are lots of spaces where I've got some scabs and lesions. There's peeling on my face. A lot of my skin is very, very dry and flaky, like you would have after a sunburn. And my face has been basically peeling off for the last 4 days and hasn't yet stopped. It was extraordinarily red and itchy, and it was really, really uncomfortable. My face swelled up, my eyes were puffy, my entire head and scalp were really, really red, and I was in a lot of discomfort. It felt like having a chemical peel on top of the worst sunburn you've had. So really, really uncomfortable. The good thing is I'm on the mend and slowly getting back to normal, but the process is intended to kill the precancerous skin cells, which then eventually die and slough off so that new and fresh skin can form underneath that doesn't have the cancerous tendencies that the previous layers of skin did. The reason I share all of this with you is multifold. I didn't want to show up, but then I thought about this, and the process that I've gone through really kind of served for me as a metaphor for what happens when we transform. And so I wanted to share with you my thoughts about the transformation process that I've been going under and how I think it actually mirrors transformation for most of us. So let's get to it. So the first parallel that I saw in transformation in the process I went through is the very first thing is you have to diagnose what the problem is. This is an interesting process because you really have to let go of the stories you have about yourself. You have to be willing to really take a deep look at what's going on in your life, a really authentic look. You have to stop lying to yourself, and you have to let go of the excuses that you've been making for how things really are. So in my case, I had seen a couple spaces on my face that were questionable. Sometimes they'd be a little red or blotchy or irritated, and I knew that there wasn't something quite right. I had an idea what that was, but I decided I kind of kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally, I realized that I really had to come to terms with the fact that this could be cancerous and that I needed to see a specialist. The other thing that you have to do in dealing with the diagnosis is you have to be willing to let go of the actual problem. A lot of people that I know have issues and they say they want to let go, but they're holding on to something. And I think in my case, holding on to the possibility that I was just being alarmist, or that it wasn't really that big of a problem. So you really have to, first of all, get real with yourself, and then you have to be willing to let go of the thing that's in your way. The second thing that I saw as a parallel in the transformation process was you have to actually design a treatment that targets the issue, that really deals with it. And what I mean by that is the treatment has to be appropriate and it has to be effective. So in this particular case, there were a number of different things that the dermatologist could have recommended for me, but I actually had to write away for a prescription which they had to mix in a particular custom prescription so that I had the right amounts of chemicals and the right balance. And when I looked at the chemicals when it came back, it was actually a chemotherapy treatment. And even that word just kind of scared me, but that's actually what it was. So the dermatologist was really good at diagnosing what the problem was and then recommending, here are the proportions of the different medications that you need to use, here's how you need to apply it, and this is why we're doing it, because it's going to target these particular cells. So your treatment has to be effective and it has to be appropriate. The third stage or component of transformation that I saw as a parallel with my own situation was that you actually have to stick to the treatment. And that can be really, really difficult. Like I said, I was in a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain, and taking this treatment, I really didn't want to go through it. There was a point in the treatment where I just wanted to stop, and I had the option to do so. This dermatologist had said, you need to do it for 5 days, 7 if you can stand it. So I had a 2-day period there where I didn't actually have to go through this, but it was recommended. And in spite of the discomfort, in spite of the pain, I muscled my way through it. And I can't really tell you exactly what it was that had me go all the way, because like I said, that last day I did the treatment in the morning and I was so miserable, I thought, I'm not going to do this treatment tonight. And something in me that night said, David, you can do this and it's in your best interest. You're going to do it, you're going to muscle through, and I put on the very last treatment. I'm really proud of myself for going through the full treatment. I can't quite tell you what it was that spurred me to take that on, but I found something within myself saying this is in your best interest. This is really what you're committed to, is your overall health. And the longer you can do this thing, the better your chances are for achieving that result in the end. Now, I'm also going to tell you, you're going to want to quit. And it's the same with transformation too. Transformation can be a painful process. You're going to want to give up, and you're going to have to put something into place to spur you forward when those moments happen. The fourth part of transformation that's a parallel to my own situation, and you're not going to like this, is you're going to have to actually get okay with not being perfect and looking bad. Transformation is a messy process. And just like my own situation, I didn't want to show up looking imperfect. I didn't want to show up with my face all blotchy and red and swollen and everything else. It was really, really a hurdle for me to get over because I wanted to show up perfect. There's nothing wrong over here. I'm okay. It's nothing to worry about. So you've got to actually let go of that so that you can show up as you are. And one of the interesting things about it is you're likely going to look worse before you look better. I hate to tell you, but that's how it often goes in life, right? So I knew that I didn't look as bad when I stopped the treatment, when I finally ended it, but the next few days, my situation got worse and worse and worse. I would wake up in the morning, my skin overnight had cracked and bled. It was really awful. It was flaking. It looked horrible. My face was puffed up. My lips were chapped. My eyes were swollen. Everything. And it got worse and worse. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is tragic. And I can't show up like this. As a matter of fact, I was thrilled that we were under a stay-at-home advisory and that I was required to wear a mask outside because whenever I left the house, nobody would have to actually see what was going on with me. But I also didn't want to show up on this podcast for exactly that same reason. And I put it off for several days. You have to be willing to look messy. and share this experience with other people. People are going to notice. That's the other thing. People are going to start to notice your transformation, and they're going to point to it. And it's something that you have to be willing to own. I had this situation where on Zoom calls, people would say, hey, what's going on with you? You look really flushed, or you don't seem like yourself, or your energy isn't quite right. And I've actually had to step forward and say, here's what's going on with me. Here's what I'm undergoing and my own transformation. And I just simply had to share it with other people. Now, the great advantage to that is you get a ton of support and love and understanding in the process. And that goes an awfully long way. So be prepared. Transformation, like my own journey here, is really messy, and you're going to have to get messy and show up imperfect in order to get to the other side. The fifth part about transformation, which I actually noticed in my own process, and it was kind of interesting, is you actually have to allow time to heal. So the transformation process can be kind of brutal, and healing takes time. What I noticed for myself is I was so impatient at points because I was like, just get this over. I just want to rip my face off and have the new skin and be okay, right? But it's a gradual process that you can't necessarily rush. You have to allow it to just unfold. And the interesting thing, as a corollary to that, is that you may not even notice the transformation is occurring because you're so in the moment with how things actually are right now that you don't notice the gradual change that's happening. But one day you're going to wake up and you're going to see a different person in the mirror. One day you're going to look back and say, oh my God, look at how far I've come. So allow yourself time to heal and be patient with the process because it is happening. As long as you continue working, it is happening. And eventually you're going to surprise yourself at where you've come. Transformation takes courage. You have to step into things. You have to let things go. You have to be willing to let go of what doesn't serve you in your life. And that takes a tremendous amount of courage and commitment. You have to show up with increased vulnerability and be willing to be seen and own who you are in your process. You have to have a willingness to show up imperfectly as you are, warts and all. It's a very, very uncomfortable process. You also, though, have to have a sense of what lies on the other side of your transformation. That's the thing that draws you forward. In my own case, I went through that process and I made those choices and I stayed patient in my process because I know that on the other side of this, for me, is healthy skin and a healthy life that isn't burdened by the possibility of a development of skin cancer. That's really an attractive goal for me to muscle through all of the hard problems. So you have to know what's on the other side, what's available for you through your process of transformation. You also have to have a fundamental understanding that transformation is permanent. It's not just temporary change. Transformation is permanent. You become a new person, but you are still at your core and at your foundation, you are you. It's not going to change who you are from your essence and in your essence, but you are going to show up differently. So given my experience, I'm curious what transformation would look like for you. Would you create something new in your life? Would you show up differently in a relationship that you're in? Would you take more risks, or perhaps your choices in life would look different? What would shift for you in your life if you took on a process of transformation? What do you need to let go of that's in the way of your growth and success? Is it your mindset? Is it your speaking? Is it your circumstances? Who are you being about what you're up to in your life? Now here's the deal. I'm going to be fine. Over the next couple of weeks, my face and my head will heal, fresh, new, healthy skin will form, and I will be hopefully out of the danger zone for the development of skin cancer in the future. This process has been super uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It's required me to break down some walls and be vulnerable. It's required that I throw away some old stories I have about myself and who I am. And it's given me new insights that I can carry into other aspects of my life. I am excited to wholeheartedly embrace the new me that's emerging. Transformation isn't easy. In fact, it can downright suck, but it can also be liberating, invigorating, and regenerative. So if you're ready to take on a transformation process in your own life, your career, or your business, book a call with me and let's talk. I've created new ARC-UP strategy sessions just for you. 2 hours of executive coaching and goal setting to get you set for the upcoming year. It's a great deal at $97. And until December 31st, I'm offering them for 50% off. It's absolutely crazy. You can book a session by going to my website at www.blueprintforliving.coach and search under offerings for ARC-UP strategy sessions. Here's to the new you that's emerging. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, take care, stay safe, and make it a wonder-filled day.